pregnant, should you disclose that to a potential employer during a job interview? My name is Erin Brandt.
And I'm Simon Kent.
I'm Kim Darling.
And we're lawyers with Kent Employment Law. And we wanted to approach this topic because it comes up a lot for us, where we're asked, I just lost my job, I'm pregnant, how do I go to job interviews? And there's an interesting balance here between, an employee should be honest and upfront about their expectations during the job interview process versus the fear of rejection if an employer finds out that maybe they're not in it for the long haul, that this is going to be a short-term position and they're going off soon.
Right. Yeah, and you're right. That's something that employer clients will contact us about and say, Simon, what happens when someone comes to interview with us and we think that they're pregnant, but they're not disclosing it? How do we handle that? And so what we'll often say to them is that it's okay to ask a person whether they're going to be available to do the work that's being asked of them in the next year, as opposed to saying something like, are you pregnant, or do you expect that you'll be off on some sort of medical absence in the next 12 months.
Because those would not be questions to ask during a job interview.
Correct.
That would be offside the Human Rights Code.
That's right. So to say something like, as a closing comment, will you be able and available to, or do you anticipate that you'll be available to work for us for at least the next year?
But let's say an employee is not asked that question.
Yeah.
Let's just say that they are 3 months pregnant, they're not showing, they've lost their job, they need the income, they need a new job. In that job interview, does that employee have, or does that individual have an obligation to actively say, by the way, I'm pregnant, by the way, I'm trying to get pregnant, by the way, I'm only 7 weeks pregnant and haven't told my family yet? How does that all, what do you think, Kim? How does that all play out in a job interview?
At the point of the interview, you really are trying to establish a good relationship with the potential employer because both parties are trying to see if it's a good fit. And I really struggle with this because if you know you're essentially keeping a secret, in a way you're lying by omission. But at the same time, I say that from a position of privilege where I've never been worried that I wasn't going to be able to keep a roof over my head. So I think that the fear is real that that women will think that if they disclose that they're pregnant early in their pregnancy at the point of a job interview, that position may not be offered to them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you are in that position of privilege, where you have the luxury of really interviewing and choosing a job for your future, I say be honest, because at the end of the day, do you really want to work for an employer who wants to fire you because you're pregnant?
Or because they think that you lied about being pregnant?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I think that it's much better to be honest and find the right fit so that when you come back from maternity leave, you're returning to a supportive employer and a great work environment, as opposed to one that's going to try and squeeze you out because of your new family obligations. And again, I'm balancing the law versus reality. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's offside the Human Rights Code to discriminate on any of these grounds.
Yeah, and I also see that tension between the employer's need to fill a particular position. What I'm hearing from our employer clients is that they certainly do not want to discriminate against a person because they're pregnant. But having said that, it doesn't make a lot of sense for someone to come into a job, not disclose that they're going to go off on a mat leave, get trained up over a period of months, and then go off for what now can be up to 18 months, and sometimes get pregnant again and go off for another 18 months. So again, it doesn't make much sense to take a job, get trained, then go off upwards of 3 years before coming back. That's not really helping the employer fulfilling their needs. But I understand the tension between the two. That's why it's such a difficult question to have a firm, solid answer on. It's a bit nuanced, a bit gray, depends on the facts.
I think what I would encourage to wrap this up is to encourage employees who have that luxury to be honest in the job interview process, and to encourage employers to think outside the box. Do I have room in my organization for this person? Can I accommodate this? Can I make this work? Is this exciting? Is this a person that, if we treat fairly from the start, they're going to come back and be a committed and dedicated employee for a long time? Is there a strong financial investment up front that's going to pay off long term? And hopefully, from a sustainable employment perspective, if there's honesty on the part of the employee and openness on the part of the employer, hopefully we can find these fits that are going to be mutually beneficial.
Great.
So we'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. Are you a woman? Have you interviewed while pregnant? Are you involved in hiring? Have you recently hired someone to find out, that they didn't actively disclose this? We'd love to hear your experiences on this in the comments below.
Great.